Hey, how's it? In the name of Christ, how you doing? It's Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. Aren't we all just in a bad bunch? My hair, please look out for that. It is currently under lock and key because I'm doing a treatment on it. That's why I've got the wig on, so I'm in. Let's also put some caveats out there. Please look out for my captions. They're not always accurate. They sometimes use a small G for God, and that is troublesome and problematic, but it stays because, you know, it is what it is. I like them there, and I don't have an editor. I don't have time to be doing them, so just look out for that. It is raining outside. It might get a bit louder than that, so I probably won't work out. Not probably, I definitely won't work out today because of the rain. I tried to work out inside. It's just not working. So, yeah, the weather does stop me, unfortunately. Whoa, it is so hot. Also, I made mention of the captions. What else did I make mention of? Oh, makeup. I may or may not be wearing application makeup. If I am, you will know. Cool. Oh, yeah. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. I'm only human. Blah, blah, blah. What about a fish paste? I just, like, please, I don't want pimples. I'm doing this to blush my cheeks so that you can see that when you prick me, I bleed. Boom. There we go. Turns out I don't have to be at it for too long before that becomes a reality. So maybe we'll keep this segment. I'm not spritzing anything on my hair today because I've got a treatment up tops. Nale plastiki, can you hear that? Yeah, even with my new braids, I did braids yesterday, you guys know that. Like mini braids on my own afro hair. And they better last 3 months, that's all I can say. Alright, let's just get straight into this. Because into it is what we need to do. Just get straight into it. Y'all, you know South Africa. Y'all know that I don't like this country. I'm done. I wish I wasn't born here. It's handofagaza. And I just, whatever. Listen, South Africa and South African women. We're gonna have a discussion today. Y'all know that a lot of my ministry is inspired or motivated by dreams. Like, I get dreams and I get told what is going on in the hearts and minds of people. And for me, it's like, wow, look at you be like your country. Going to some international court, trying to accuse God's people, and imagining that you're gonna get anywhere. Like, relax. Okay, just chill. Literally, my life is not in your hands. Let's just put that out there, South Africa. You know what you remind me of? We're gonna have a discussion. I can't stand this country. I'm trying to leave. It makes me feel like the world is coming to an end. And even though the world is coming to an end, South Africa is that exacerbator. It is the thing that puts salt in open wounds. It is the insult to injury. It is the person oratangufagaza in a conversation when they don't know jack. Yeah, that's South Africa. And so I feel as if though my view of the world is likely very biased because I'm here. But we don't know. That would have to be tested by me moving to another country to see if at all I'll still feel like it's the end of the world truly. But the more I look around at this environment, the more convinced I am that literally you are a diseased woman on your own. Just by yourself. You're like that prostitute that keeps on thinking that you still have clout and fame even though you're like 59. But you're still doing prostitution. That's what South Africa is. Like, otswapugile. And I'm done with you. But we're gonna have this discussion. South Africa, it's about time. You deserve this. Do you understand? It's about time you got handled. I've always had issues and beef with this country, qualms, for a very long amount of time. But I was once a patriot and I was also once very comfortable in it. But that's just the thing. In order for the Lord to fix a situation and to make people see that something's very wrong with this picture, He will put you in a position to suffer similarly to everybody else that's suffering similarly from an ecosystem, that you might gauge the right level of respect or be spurred up in your members, the right level of respect for those that are suffering at the hands of the entity that you used to be part of. And so therefore you were able to ignore. How can I describe South Africa again? It's like being a rich kid, right? With a, I guess, rich dad. Like, you've got a rich dad. South Africa is like the rich dad. It's like being a kid that is a rich kid because you've got a rich dad. And you grow up thinking that your dad is the best thing since sliced bread. You grow up, your dad has spoiled you rotten. Your dad has treated you really well. And you look up to your dad. You one day are going to take over the family business. You look up to everything about your dad. And you don't think your dad could ever harm a fly. Until one day you walk into him. You eavesdrop basically on a conversation that he's having with a business partner. And you hear your dad literally calling for the assassination of someone. Because they then stand in the way. They are risking being a threat to essentially the family business, and this person then gets a whole contract assassin hired on them because your dad is uncomfortable with them speaking what is true about your dad. That he is a fraudster, that he is a racketeer, that he's into random money laundering, and that he is into unsavory business practices. And then you come to learn as this rich kid that snap, like all our family wealth is not clean. Oh, and you've got this like cognitive dissonance to find out that your dad is proper out here in these streets being Pol Pot. Your dad is Pablo Escobar. Your father is Mussolini. Your dad is Hitler. But like, he's your dad and he's been doting over you. So you having some big issues, big time problems with cognitive dissonance. When you come to learn that your dad is the scum of the earth, the filth, and frankly, you need to cut him off. If anything, there are 2 shows that I've been watching on Netflix that have that same theme. And the Lord keeps on raising that theme over and over and over again in my head. So it's about time that I spoke about it. Okay. Yeah, I'm a defector from this country even though I'm still here. Let's just put it out there. And if you're South African, whoopsie, I literally don't care because you gotta be handled. At some point I never used to be like you. I'm sorry, I've never been like you. I have never been like you. I had qualms with what you did, but because I was part of you, I sort of kind of ignored the horrendous stuff that you did to people because I was largely safe. But now I am your victim, so I guess I've joined the party of everybody else that got beef with you. The shows that I've been watching on Netflix, the first one is what's the name of that show? Biohackers. Yes, Biohackers. That show Biohackers on Netflix. Go check it out. You will love it. Okay, it's relatively clean. It does not have profanity, or at least not much, and they steer clear from all different kinds of funny physical activity. It just tells a story and that's it. But then again, it is not made in America, so it makes sense that it wouldn't be that filthy. It's a German show. Biohackers on Netflix. There is this rich kid there that whose dad funds medical research, and she's a sweet girl. She's got roommates at college, at university, that are middle class kids. They're not wealthy or anything like that, and she's the one that's basically holding the whole roommate situation together because she's the rich kid. She's the rich kid. She's got a wealthy dad, and she's a humble rich kid. And this rich kid in season 2, towards the end of, I guess, Biohackers, it only has 2 seasons, she comes to learn that her father is not the innocent guy that she always thought he was, and she's got a little bit of a glitchy cognitive dissonancy mindset in the end, because she does not know where to stand, given that she's always just so loved her dad. Her brother is the first person that she goes and consults. She finds out that her dad is involved in financing some pretty unethical human experiments in order to aid the cause of the human race along or whatever. So basically her dad is like the scum of the earth, alright? And this little girl is like, what? Does dad do anything illegal? She goes to her brother in a bar. And she's like, brother, older brother, please tell me, is there anything kind of shoddy or underhanded about dad and dad's business? And the brother clearly knows. The brother clearly knows that the father is corrupt. The brother has already been through this. The brother learned first that this was what's going on, and the brother accepted it. The brother embraced it because the brother was in a lofty position. Do you understand what I'm saying? And was protected from the dad's indiscretion. And so he then just told himself, well, I guess I am lucky because I was born into the family that's destroying the whole planet. So therefore I'm immune. So the brother just went and ran with it. And when then it was the young sister's turn to find out that the family business is really quite diabolical, she goes to a bar first and asks the brother. And the brother is like, sister, you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a decision. Some things in this world you just gotta sweep under the rug. Some things in this world you just gotta take in your stride. And the sister sits there, learns, finds out the hard way that her dad is evil like no man's business, and that the family business is like literally run on the fumes of other people's carbon dioxide expulsions, that the business is kept together, the brick and the mortar structure of it are built on human bones. And when she learns this, she is with severe guilt, and she is with severe sorrow, and is caught in between a rock and a hard place, because snap, it's her family. So what does she end up doing? She betrays her friends in order to stick with family. But later on along the way, because she's not the diabolical beast that her dad is, she eventually botches the dad's project because she just cannot kill her friends, or she cannot just leave her friends to die. She cannot just leave her friends to suffer like that. But she's caught in a rock in a hard place, and a trapped environment is she in because she belongs to a wicked family that she never thought was wicked. Yeah, a lot of South Africans are like that chick, and I to a certain extent was like that chick, where it is that you come to learn that you belong to a dumb country, but you've got this like cognitive dissonance alongside, but it's my family, and you really want to be patriotic, you really want to hold on to it, you grew up loving it like no man's business, and it's just what you know, but at the same time it's not what your moral compass approves or agrees with. And if you're not careful, you're gonna end up holding a gun to your own friend's head because you belong to freaking South Africa. And that's what's happened to me. I am the daughter of a filthy father. I am the daughter of a genocidal freak. I am the daughter of some idiot out here in these streets that has no regard for human life. But I was born to this guy, and I had cognitive dissonance, but I have completely defected. Whereas lots of my countrymen haven't. I have completely defected. It's just a matter of time before I get out of this stupid place. But the only reason that I successfully defected out of South Africa, or at least in mind, it's only the body that's left to go. Only reason why I have successfully defected is because the stupid country, once I decided to stand up against all the rubbish it does, it then threw me out the way that it typically throws out everybody else. South Africa is violent towards people that either don't agree with it, or towards people that it feels are not worthy of being treated a particular way. So we're going to talk about that. The other show that in question has this kind of issue with the daughter is Mortal Engines. I just come from watching last night I watched Mortal Engines while I was finishing doing my hair on Netflix. And again, on Mortal Engines, there is a father-daughter pair where the dad absolutely is doting over the daughter, but he is a tyrant, he is an oppressor, he is a monarch, he is some kind of a sovereign that is running the show horribly on a particular steam engine, and this guy is evil like no man's business. And people, however, don't know that he's evil, because that's the thing about a monarch. Initially loved until they become so oppressive to so many people that then there becomes like a whole revolution and a riot against him that causes the uprooting of that particular structure. The dad is that monarch, but she didn't know that. The little girl didn't know that. She thought her daddy was this innocent little guy that out here is running the show. He's just a boss guy. Yeah, and everybody loves him. Everybody celebrates what he's doing, until she learned that her dad is trying to nuke other mortal engines belonging to other countries. If you've seen Mortal Engines, you know what I'm talking about, okay? It's like this dystopian world where everything runs on an engine. Okay, this dad wants to use old technology to bomb, other countries so he can just take them over coup, like an occupier. That's what this dad was trying to become, using old school technology like nukes that destroyed the world, bombs like bioweapons, what do they call that thing, quantum bombs and whatnot, that were made back in the human era of technology, the one that we're living in. The dad is out here reinventing the wheel, trying to bomb some cities all over the show in order to take them over. And the daughter discovers this and defects. She defects. Her dad ends up dying, and when he dies, she doesn't even bat an eyelid. She doesn't even crack a tear, nothing, because she is done. She ends up standing with the revolution and whatnot against her father because she's shocked out of her mind that her dad is that whack. Shocked out of her mind that her dad is that evil. It's that basic. South Africa is like that dad. Those of y'all who done grown up in this city, in this country, understand South Africa is that dad. I've already told you, the Lord showed me that this country is going to cease to be a nation. I believe that's going to be the status quo in the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. But in the run-up to, there is severity of judgment in this country. It's already a done deal. It's forgotten. It's done with. God is done with this country. Like, I'm telling you now, he is done. He is done. All that is needed to do, the only reason why there's still any grace applying to this country is for the remnant that is in this land. The remnant of South Africans that are essentially hurtful, but really they can't get out or whatever. He is basically staying his hand from fully and comprehensively judging this deadbeat country because of them, for their sake. And I just so happen to be among that handful of remnant. After we get out, however, sugarized much, that's what's going on. It's over for you. Like rotten, gangrenous country you. Mamelang. Okay? I understand that I used to be patriotic for this land before, but I'm going to help you understand what in the world under heaven was the status quo dwelling in my members, richly in my heart, even before I came to Christ, and even before I desperately sought to defect from this filthy whirlwind of destruction called South Africa. Ever since I was a little girl, I've made an observation of how South Africans treat other people, and it was so disturbing. It was really disgusting. I didn't like it. But then I just sat around saying, at least I am covered. Let us first have a discussion about South African. Let me see. What shall we talk about? Okay, from what vantage point shall I embrace this? You know, the witchcraft epidemic in this country, it's like South Africa has been handed over to it because of the way that it has been against everybody else. The Lord gave this country a great deal of favor. In all of Africa, it became the biggest industry, right? It became sort of kind of earmarked to be the first ever country all up in this Africa of ours to become first world. We were favored early. And for what reason? I would imagine it's because we were once upon a time an actually truly pious, godly country. But then we went on right ahead and wreaked havoc in our own shoes and our own lives and our own hair follicles. And when that happened, the Lord was like, as in, I'm going to show you flames. Let's start in apartheid. Okay? Yeah. Or rather, yeah, apartheid. Let's start right inside apartheid. Black people. Herein lies these white people that rock up and they're like, hey. Even though we found you here, bottom line is, we're going to do what we've always done. Like, segregate you and say that we're better than you. We're better than you. And when apartheid started in this country, a whole bunch of black people were like, whoa, like, what's going on though? Why are you doing this to me? And then a whole bunch of them made like Miriam Makeba and were like, I'm sorry. And so they went and they lived in America. They went and they lived in neighboring countries. And these neighboring countries were what? Nice. That's what's good. Yes. They were like, oh no, white people are trying to like make you live in apartheid? Not cool. Come, live with us. Yeah, they literally did that. It was not just the USA that did that, but let's just say that America took a whole bunch of South Africans during apartheid. Let's just say that. Yeah, let's put that out there. America took a whole bunch of South Africans and they sang their music there. Yeah, that's how Americans heard Miriam Makeba sing Pata Pata. And they still took her. They loved her. They embraced her. And when it was safe to come back, they were like, okay, Miriam, bye. It's been nice. It's been lovely. Visit us sometime. So there's your first ally. Let me just put that out there. America. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then what then went on right ahead to continue to happen is that South Africans went to, if they couldn't go all the way to like America or whatever because they were not celebrities or for whatever reason they didn't go to America, they then went around, like just Morandong. They just skipped the border. They took some buses and found themselves in Zimbabwe. They took some buses and found themselves in Namibia. You get my point. And the very same people were like, oh, the white people are doing funny stuff. Oh man, they're so mean. Now come here. And in countries where it was okay to live and there wasn't so much racial segregation, black folk not only were able to go and live there, right? These struggle heroes, not only were they able to live there, but they got some of the baddest education in the game. They got some of the baddest education in the game. And then when everything sort of kind of simmered down with apartheid in this country, they were able to come back. They came back home because everybody misses home. So as soon as it was safe to come back, they came back. Now the country was going to be rebuilt. And it was those people that were taken to what is called exile. Thank you very much. Yeah. That became some of the most wealthiest South Africans in South Africa. I had a friend, right? Former friend, because you know, out in these streets we busy getting betrayed because like I said, South Africa. This used to be friend of mine had a dad that was in exile and she was a rich kid, only one that had a car when we were in varsity, blah blah, all that jazz. She was like a whole Santon snob, blah blah. And the only reason that chick could be my age and be a Santon snob, so therefore the dad age is the one that got really wealthy, is because of exile. Let's just put that out there. These exiled South Africans were able to study hard knock degrees, come back, become big fat chunky businessmen and women, and their kids, us, were rich. Except those of us whose parents didn't go to exile didn't end up rich kids. You know, we just ended up regular middle class randos. Some of us, like Karabo, but I knew some chicks, some dudes, some people on the come up, some millennial kids that I grew up with that were rich kids because their parents studied in exile. And the exiles that they studied in were allied nations to the country that had mercy on the fact that South Africans were suffering. South African blacks were suffering at the hands of these like white people that decided to do a strange thing overnight, like proper. They literally are segregating them according to group areas. Yeah, they were given mercy by neighboring nations. Bank that thought. Just bank it. Very well. Fast forward a whole bunch of years down the line. And now our neighboring countries, yeah, South Africa, that's actually happening. That's what's good. Now they need us. But look at you treat them like the scum of the earth. Hey, Now they need us. But look at you refusing to let them study in your institutions. Now they need us. Look at you coming up with some border laws because you think you are America dealing with Mexico. Look at you now treating the very people that are actually thriving your economies, because South African guys are arrogant and they don't want to work for chump change. And so the people who are trickling in little chump change into the economy of this country, the Ethiopians, the Zimbabweans, the Congolese, the Nigerians, yeah, South Africans treat them like the scum of the earth. Treat them like the scum of the earth. That's what's good. Yeah, when once upon a time we were able to lodge ever so comfortably with like hard knock education, enabling them to become rich when they came back in their countries. And do you know who done did that? Yeah, black people. Treating black people like they're human, only for the same humanly treated black people to later on treat black people like they're trash. I don't know whether to blame South Africa here or just the black population of this country, because herein lies the deal. This hard knock, what we call xenophobia, donkey-san, yeah, is strangely targeted towards only black Africans. Yeah. It's targeted towards only black Africans. You just don't like the Ethiopians, but you don't really care if they're white. You don't like the Zimbabweans, but I mean, really, if they're white, chill, do what you want. So black South Africans are out here ransacking black other Africans, treating them like they're nothing. So that's the first thing that I made an observation of. I was like, huh. And then when I learned history, I was like, but didn't we once upon a time need them and they took us in? Oh, they did, yeah. So why are they so mean though? What is up with that? I shall tell you a story. There was this one friend that I once had, yet another backstabber betrayer. Oh, my life is so hard, isn't it? Not one to charge a phone. And I don't want it to run out of battery. Battery. But not battery like being beaten, you know. I had this friend. Thank God she's not one anymore. It's like good riddance, you know? And I'm not the one that done got rid of her. She got rid of herself because, like, really, anyway, this chick, ne? One time I remember I was sitting ko office ko desk ke shabanile laptop ke sa tsebore ke etseng ka screen sena seng confusing. I was working some project management job, very entry level. At the beginning of my career, what is this? Like a mining, what is this? It was like an IT company with a mining segment, and my hairs was steaming because I hated the job. I didn't understand much of what was going on, and I just needed to be somewhere where I'm appreciated. Okay, it's not that I wasn't appreciated there, but like, guys, I've always had problems with IT, and now when you mix it with mining, it's like, I never planned for this. But me, I wanted a better paying job, so I took it. Because my mekfuna be project manager. It didn't work, but it ultimately worked out. I finally I got the right project management job, but not within that funny little space trucks that go way bridge out here trying to figure out how in the world. Nah, it was just so rough to do that job. Anyway, so I'm staring at this confusing diagram of some developer trying to understand what and then I get a call. Diddling, hello, girl. How you? Oh, but I'm glad anyway. So you good, yeah. She's like, ish, my friend, you know, I've got some problems. I remember it was at the beginning of the year. Could have been like maybe mid-January. Yes, my friend, oh, waitsy. I want to go to UNISA and I have registered there. I want to get my degree. And they want this deposit. And oh man, you know, I don't have it right now, the money, but I'm gonna have it at the end of the month. I was wondering if you borrow me 4,000. Yeah, she just like and she 4,000. Wonder if you borrow me 4,000 rand to go pay for the deposit. If I pay it back to you, is it okay? Maybe if I pay over 3 months, is it okay? And I'm like, hi, hey, no, it's cool. It's mid-January, so like it's a funny time for you to be asking me this money, Gail, because you know December boys just came and went, and it's yet to be payday. But I guess you know that I'm a contractor, so I guess I don't get paid at the same day as everybody, and you have memorized that. So well done for making that observation. I got the money at a different time. So yes, my bank account is very full. And it has that 4,000 sitting in it. You're my girl, anything for you. And plus, I love the one who get education. So really, do you go grab degree, girl? Say, get it, sister. Doing it for yourself, standing on your own 2 feet. Yes, understood, right? You can pay me over 3, even 6 months. You're my friend, anything for you. Oh, my girl, you're such a lovely friend. Thank you, Gildio. You know, what would I do without you? Praise God for you. I, my sister, it's alright, it's alright. Anyway, I've got this diagram that I'm looking at right now in the office. It's confusing me. Brain is steaming. Let me go off now to go understand this stupid diagram. But I'll see you later. You just send me banking details and then I'll transfer it. Within the next 24 hours, it'll be beep beep in your bank account. Oh, my friend, thank you. Such a darling. Okay, girl. Bye. Boop. I done loaned this chick 4,000 rands to go and register at UNISA. Wanting to start a degree. I was already in the middle of a degree. I was gonna, in and of myself, take out some money out of my bank account to go and register at WITS later that same year. That same month or beginning of February or whatever. And this chick was planning on paying me 2,000, 1,000 over a set period of time. And she did pay me back. I'm not gonna take that away from her. She did pay me back. Maragimokadimile 4,000 rands at some point. And then the Karabo was the one that arrived at the time of need. And Karabo calls the same chick maybe like a year later. I call her and I'm like, Chiki, I can't remember why it is that I needed her to loan me something like 2,000 rands and I was gonna give it back to her at the end of the month. I was not gonna pay her over 10 years. Yeah, anyway, whatever. I'm like, chick, could you loan me 2 grand? Like, I will pay you back by a certain time. And she had attitude. She gave me so much attitude on the phone. On some, now I'm bothering her, huh? Ay, girl, I don't know if I've got it. Like, what do you need it for? And I'm like, Lamuntu, can you have such amnesia? I ended up saying, no, it's okay. It's alright. You know what I ended up doing? I asked the money from my mom. My mom was like, yo, I ain't got that right now. And I took a personal loan out. I didn't want to take a personal loan because I was sick and tired of just taking debt. And I knew that sometimes I lacked discipline when it came to paying off loans. Because I knew that they were going to make me pay only 200 rands over like 24 months or whatever. And I would just take that in my stride and just sit with this loan for like 24 months. I didn't have the discipline to just like keep on paying the bulk payments. So I wanted something that was going to motivate me to finish paying it off. Yo, this chick, and after getting off the phone, I was like, literally a year and a bit ago, I gave this chick 4,000 rands that she paid off over like 4 months. And I didn't have any qualms. I didn't give her attitude when she asked me because I trusted that she would pay me back. And on top of that, she was my girl. Yeah. But when then it was my turn to ask for the same favor from her, and in even lesser measure, yeah, she passed me shade. That's South Africa. Those are South Africans. Yeah, that's what they did after apartheid. Did you understand what I'm saying? They done treated their neighboring countries like they ain't jack when now they were loaning some money, when now they were loaning some land, when now they were trying to find asylum, when now they were the ones that needed to be exiled and given education in South Africa, given a future. Now they were the ones acting like my friend. So I guess that former friend of mine was pretty much being a typical South African. Yeah, very quick to forget, hard knock amnesia, out here passing away a slow death like a fishy that has been extracted out of its bowl from where it was swimming. That is South Africa for you. A lack of gratitude. That is the first thing. First and foremost, it has no respect for its former allies that kept it in a bunch at some point. The enmity that South Africa now feels very incredibly against America, against Israel, against just about like all of its surrounding countries, its neighboring nations. The enmity that it is at now in favor of. We understand South Africa has a history with Russia, but like, what in the world are you doing with everybody else that you are aligned with over there in BRICS? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because your historical allies have always been the countries that you now today are passing shade. You are out there burping random violence in their general direction, and you do not care that these people once upon a time took care of you. And the sad and disquieting thing about them as well is that the countries that South Africa is currently allied with are all the ones that the world is currently very mad at. Have you ever taken a notice at that? Ever noticed that right now, literally all the countries that the planet is angry at, South Africa's allied with them. Like, the whole planet is upset at what China is doing with Taiwan and all of its arrogance all over these streets, with its economy and all of its what is this, police stations across the freaking planet. The world is upset at Russia for what under heaven it did to the Ukraine. Yeah, and now it's out here standing against Israel in the Middle East, in Syria, with all of its military might in that region, trying to do a strange thing. The world is currently upset with Yemen. It is upset with many countries in the Middle East. Like, I can't literally say that enough. The planet that is sober and making better decisions right now is upset at all the countries of Africa. It's like, do you know why that's even happening in this country? It's because it's judged. The Lord is literally putting South Africa together with all the countries that he is going to just destroy in one sitting. The Lord is strategically allying South Africa with all of the curses of the world, like countries that have made this world a hard place to live in. The Lord has made our country, that is South Africa. It's not mine anymore. I don't belong here. I hate it. Okay? He's made our country ally with every irritant of the earth, with bullies of the earth. South Africa is allied with countries of the earth that have made the earth an unhappy place for now. That is no coincidence. The reason why the Lord has done that to South Africa is to finish it off. Do you understand? Utrelang. This country has gone on right ahead to become one of the most besotted nations with sorcery. That's not even a mistake and an error, because when people are into sorcery, their minds go bye-bye. They fly away like a butterfly, and they're never to be seen again. But just like a butterfly, there is like a whole chaos theory butterfly effect happening, where the flapping of the wings of a butterfly in one part of the world causes a whole tsunami in another, causes a whole thunderstorm, a hurricane, some kind of a natural disaster, but it was just the flying away of a butterfly. Yeah. Chaos theory, reaching entropy, that is this country. It is literally causing global disambiguation, and it's on the wrong side of history. And given all that, it will then be destroyed when the Lord is restoring peace to the planet. When the Lord is destroying peace to the earth, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Yeah, can't really do that from this deadbeat land. The country has been confounded. It's been made to lose its speech. It's been made to be discombobulated, not understand its next sentence from the one prior to it. It has been made to forget oneself. It has been made to follow its own tail, and so therefore achieve absolutely hollow note and ash. That is this country. The Lord has handed all of South Africa over to its reprobate mind, because as soon as he gave you any inkling, semblance of mercy, you not only spat on the face of all of your allies, South Africa, but you also decided to spit in the face of Jesus Christ. The Lord has a thing about gratitude, and when you don't walk in it, I'm sorry, you're going to be met with a little bit of a hard time tomorrow. And that's what this country is. So what did you do, South Africa? You done gone and made the whole of Africa mad. You done made these Africans out here crazy mad, to a point where they out here disregarding you as African at all, cause you that snob of the earth. How you gonna be woke in Africa, only country in Africa, all up in that nasty woke nastiness, and still call yourself African? So what are you? Are you white or are you black? Are you African or are you American? Oh, but you are now currently what is this, at enmity with America, so you can't be American. Are you European? Oh, well, last time I checked, you are standing with all the enemies of Europe, so no, that's not really gonna work out, South Africa. What are you, Iranian? Are you Muslim? I need to understand what you are, South Africa. No, but you can't really be that. Why? Because you're woke. No, South Africa, literally, you are woke. The country is woke while standing with Muslim countries. It can't work. You're woke while standing with China. Can't work. You're woke while standing with Russia. It can't work. It's like you're an American, but you're also a Chinese. But you can't possibly be a Chinese, because, I mean, really, no. All of your principles would never fly in China. Like literally, there is no country that can ever take you in their stride. There is no nation that can ever embrace you, South Africa, that you're actually allied with, because all the influences of all the countries that used to be your friend are still in your bones. So really, at some point you are going to irritate even Russia. At some point you are going to irritate even China. At some point you are going to irritate even Iran. At some point you are going to irritate even, Egypt. Like all these countries that are your bosom buddies now, they don't really think much about the way you do business. It's that basic. And you had to get there, South Africa. Why? Because look at you, African, trying to act like you're European. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're American. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're Australian. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're Canadian. But also look at you, African, trying to act like you're Iranian. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're Syrian. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're you are Chinese. Look at you, African, trying to act like you're Turkish. Like, Papa, it's not going to work. You cannot be such a shifting shadow. Like every wind of doctrine, it is written in God's word that these people of the last days get tossed to and from by every wind of doctrine. Having itching ears, they gather for themselves a great number of teachers to teach them what the itching ears want to hear. There's really nothing at all of any value that happens to a person that is like that. I've already used this analogy before, but I'm gonna use it again. So in the movie The Mummy, is it The Mummy or The Mummy Returns? One of the two, alright? There is like this ominous, devilish archetype guy by the name of Imhotep. And Imhotep rises from the dead because of them opening some funny little seal thing, these 5 or 7 guys or whatever, and they each get slowly eaten away by Imhotep in order for Imhotep to get his like life force back in him, because he wants to raise Hanaksina back from the dead or whatever. Yeah, it's like a whole thing. Go watch The Mummy to understand what I'm talking about. But there is this character, right, that is in The Mummy, that is confronted by Imhotep, who is a very scary, devilish guy. He's very scary, and at this point he is yet to wear his full like outfit as like a reincarnated human being. So he's still kind of looking like a ghost, a zombie, in the grave, a flesh-eaten man. He's ghastly looking, and so because he's ghastly looking, he's of course scary, and he's been killing some people, and this like wimpy little dude saw him killing some people, and then Imhotep comes to him and is like and is about to just like massacre him or whatever. And then as he is busy confronting this guy, Imhotep that is, he like whips out a Christian cross and is out here praying in the name of Jesus with his hand shaking. Okay, the Christian prayer doesn't work. He then puts away the Christian cross and then takes out the crescent moon of Islam and starts praying in the name of Allah, and that does nothing. Throw that away. Takes out a Buddhist like monk or whatever, the statue of Buddha, and is out here praying like a Buddhist prayer. Nothing works. Boo, throw it away. Whatever might be the religions. And then ultimately he takes out the Star of David, the Jewish one, and he then prays in Hebrew. That's what's good. Yeah. With the Christian cross, he prays in English. With the Buddhist one, I believe he prays in is it ancient, I stand corrected, Sanskrit or whatever, and then he uses Arabic with the Islamic cross, and then he uses Hebrew with the Star of David. And when then he prays in Hebrew as he's shaking, showing Imhotep this, Imhotep then stops and he's like, the language of the slaves, I could use you. And so Imhotep spares this guy's life because he can speak Hebrew. Yeah. Now, the important thing to gauge over there is not so much that Imhotep eventually embraced this guy, but the fact that this dude takes out whatever works for the moment. Whatever works for the moment. So if Christianity is what's gonna help you get on with the day, that's what you pull out. If Islam is what works for the day, that's what you pull out. If Buddhism is what works for the day, that's what you pull out. And if Judaism is what works for the day, that's what you pull out. You cannot be anti-Semitic and be like a whole full thriving pro-Arabic state supporter of all things Islamic at the same time and be loyal to both parties. Like, you literally cannot be loyal to both parties. You cannot be out here whipping out Jesus Christ when you hate the Jews. You cannot be out here whipping out, you get my point. But this country is here, whatever it needs. So really and truly, it's like pulling out a crescent moon when it's doing in negotiations with Iran, when it's at the ICJ, whatever, accusing Israel of genocide. It's got the crescent moon. And then when it comes back down to our shore, seeing as the country is majority Christian, it's out there pulling out a Christian cross, saying, but we are a lover of Jesus Christ. That is the nation that is South Africa, tossed to and from by every wind of doctrine. And when you're like that, just like that guy from the Mummy, your death is going to be a horrible one. You're going to die trying to steal some treasure, and you are not going to find your way out of condemnation, out of an abrupt cessation of existence of your country, you being a crime state and everything. This nation is judged, and when you are disloyal and you don't hold to anything, if you don't stand and hold fast to anything, you will fall for absolutely everything. And when you fall for everything, people across different countries are not going to trust you because of your displayed historical inability to be loyal to anybody consistently for any given amount of time. When you can no longer be trusted by people that used to ally with you, now that you need them tomorrow, they are going to take you with a pinch of salt. They're not going to take you seriously. They're going to scan you up and down on some look at you namby-pamby flaccid rando. I guess Islam slammed the door on you now, didn't it? And now look at you trying to come back to Christian Judeo principles in your country. Look at you trying to win the votes of your countrymen again, ANC. Look at you trying to do that. Yeah, this country is handed over. It is handed over to its reprobate mind in the worst way. So it is no wonder it is also pulling out amatambo in front of Imhotep, Wesawe Satani, amatambo, amasangoma, ancestral worship. It's pulling that out too. Whenever these sangomas want their rights acknowledged in the parliament, wonke umuntu la emgaqweni worships whatever they want to worship in a country that's flaccid, fluffy, and namby-pamby, to a point where at the harbors and ports of this country and airports, kugcwele abantu abakhathetse with this land, exhausted, and they just want to leave permanently. Skills exodus out here, diaspora in South Africa, all of us trying to scatter everywhere else across the world because lenjale of a country busy met the crescent moon at present. Yeah, Islam. Presently, it's very crescent moon. Yeah, Islam. It does not care about the Jews. It does not care. Yeah, everybody of its allies. South Africa's out here with shaky fingers, disregarding for the moment, because that's what works out for it for now. That's what works out for it for now. Do you keep that status quo, but understand that it's individual citizens on the ground. If at all they were truly born again, if they were ever truly really saved in Christ, none of those charlatans antics by the government would ever be happening. All of this insensitive activity going on by our government against the God of the universe would not be happening because the countrymen would be holding down the fort out here in these streets. Now that I have said that, allow me to communicate to you what I experienced being a South African woman on the come up when dealing with foreign nationals, never mind even nationals, but just foreigners that were not black, that were not white, sorry, foreigners that were black, basically, in this country, that were in particular from Africa. So South African black people do not mistreat African Americans. They do not mistreat African Australians, African Europeans, so people from Great Britain with their accents and everything, they don't mistreat them. It's only when you rock up here with a hard knock Zim accent, with a hard knock Nigerian, I saw you Zoom brother, you good day, let's go and hang out tomorrow. The moment you rock up talking like this, that's when you're going to be out here having some issues in South Africa. Now, let's discuss. I grew up going to schools, especially when I got to varsity level. Yeah, when I got to varsity level, but let's talk even prior to university, okay? Trying to be friendly or nice to black kids that were Africans and having them treat me like I was a tase. Yeah. They treat like, avoidance. Like, how can I describe it? Guys, it's just PTSD. That's how it works. When you are triggered by somebody, let me just check to see if this thing, chisa, is it charging? Yeah. When you are when you're used to being mistreated by someone, anybody that looks like that somebody is always going to be a trigger. It's that basic. They're always going to be a trigger, and so you're going to put up some defensive wall against you to protect yourself from this human being, to protect yourself from the potential of being mistreated by this person. I have a person in my family, all right, that is exorbitantly rude to people who are not educated. or degreed or whatever. And it is a pump that they wear that has caused this individual to break the hearts of everybody, basically in the family, until they have put a wall up against them, lest they should say something very demeaning, very underestimating, etc. Now, that particular behavior of that particular family member of mine is similar to the way that South Africans go around these streets treating other Africans. It's like that family member of mine who is exorbitantly pompous because she has studied all the way up until masters and imagines that anybody that has not gotten their degree is worthless, or at least has not studied up to that level. When you have just a basic undergraduate, you ain't jack in comparison to them. And so like really terribly, like you stank, like you're nothing when you don't have these credentials. That behavior is similar to the way that South Africans treat foreign, they don't even have to be nationals, but black foreigners that are from Africa in particular in this country. So I have been passed so much shade by so many Africans all throughout my life in a way that made me feel like, but what did I do to you? Why are you so mean? Why won't you look at me? Why won't you be, even if you like yo, you don't even have to be my friend, but just greet. Like, why are you so cold? To a point where I used to feel literally thoroughly just freaking small in the presence of Africans that were not from South Africa. I felt small. I felt disregarded by them. I thought they were the ones with the attitude. That's what I'm trying to get at. I thought that they felt like we stank or we ain't jack. Every time, like, guys, they were I'm trying to find the earliest memory of this, like, so you can understand just how bad the situation is. When I was in primary school, like Mayfair Convent, so it was like the first sort of kind of multiracial school that we went to in standard 1, so that would be grade 3. I ultimately developed a best friend out of this one African girl. She was, I can't remember where she was from, okay? But she was definitely not from South Africa. But before this girl and I became friends, she was so rude to me. Standard 1 is grade 3, so like how old are you in grade 3? You guys, you get my point, do the mathematics. Already that young, that girl had beef with South African people, with South African kids. She was the new one in the school. She came from Macaulay House and moved to Mayfair Convent, and Macaulay House and Mayfair Convent wore the same uniform. So she didn't really have to buy a new school uniform or whatever. And I was made to sit next to her, or rather the teacher sat her next to me when she was new, and I tried to be friends. I tried to talk to her, and this girl just treated me with so much attitude. Ultimately, after spending enough time next to each other in class, okay, because the teacher sat us next to each other, we became friends and we started hanging out together and eating lunch together, and I preferred to hang out with her because all these bullying other chicks in the class, so I walked away from the crew of friends that I was friends with and I became friends with this chick. The other, yeah, it was childhood bullying, whatever, next up all that. So it was just the two of us. But this chick eventually opened up like a flower. However, that behavior, that personality, that initial treatment of my person by her, I just kept picking it up from people like her all throughout my life. First, it was that chick, her name was Molly, in primary school. She left the school within the same year. She hated Mayfair Convent, so her mom took her back to I think Macaulay House or whatever. So she didn't stick around. Neither did I stick around at Mayfair Convent either. I did not have any there were no foreign kids, at least that I knew of, in my primary school. The next one, Winchester Ridge and what have you. And go Sir John, and Sir John Adamson, there was an African American girl in our class from grade 10, and she was treated perfectly. She was treated swimmingly. Nobody treated her like trash because of that accent. She looked like the rest of us. She certainly looked like the rest of us. But just because when she spoke there was that wham from the US, ain't nobody gave her grief. She had friends. She was cool. Do you understand? No issues, no qualms. But then the biggest issues that I observed came when I moved to Wits, when I went to varsity. At Wits, that's a university, so there are a lot of students there that study, that come from abroad, that come from all different countries across the world, including many in Africa. And Zimbabwean kids in particular used to kill everybody. They used to slay everyone in literally almost everything. So that was also another thing that I made an observation of. It was like, they're so smart, right? They do so much better than us South African kids. So what is with the underestimation? What is with the underestimation? They were not only were they slaying everybody, a lot of times if there was a black tutor, like when you get to second year and you did really well in first year, you can tutor in that subject that you did well in, if you get 75% and up. So black tutors, most of them were African kids. They were not South African. All the black, there were of course a myriad of races within the tutoring space, but not all, but most of the black tutors tended to be from other African countries. I remember for this one subject, was it information systems or whatever, it wasn't information, it was economics 1. Our tutor was some dude by the first time I fell in love with the name Tinashe was from that dude. Some dude by the name of Tinashe, and he was from Zimbabwe. And he was like super intelligent. And what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that I made an observation of the fact that they were super smart and yet treated strangely by South African kids type establishment thing. And as a result of the way that we treated them, I guess the experiences that they have endured all throughout their tenure in South Africa caused them to put a wall up against South African students or South African people in favor of each other. They used to hang out with each other. And so I struggled to make friends with non-South African students at Wits. I literally, out of my entire time at Wits, only made one friend out of an African kid, and he was from Congo, right? And in the beginning, he passed me that shade. Every last one else of them, the Ethiopians, the Congolese, the Nigerians, the Sudanese, you get my point. They didn't even look at us. They hung out with each other, and they treated us like we were like, it's almost as if though they had an arrogance or a pump above us. And I came to learn later on that it was a defense mechanism. It was a coping mechanism. It was because they had endured so much mistreatment at the hands of South Africans that they shielded themselves with that vibe that they gave off. And it's been something that I've been unable to crack past pretty much ever since. Still to this day, it is still an issue. That xenophobia that dwells inside us. Now, the guy from Congo that became my very close friend, when I first met him, he walked around like he was basically walking on water and not on proper tiles. He treated me like I was, like I said, nothing, bubblegum underneath his feet. And I was forced to work with him one time because our lecturer put us in one group for some assignment. He just put names in a drawer and was like, you're gonna work with these people and the assignment is due at this date. And so that's how I came to know that guy. Otherwise, we never would have been friends. We never would have been friends because he always just used to fit our first up. He was so mean. He was so funny, ill-spirited. And once I became friends with him, never once did he ever give that vibe off. Not once did he ever give that vibe off. So in other words, it wasn't part of his personality. It was a coping mechanism. It was the way that he dealt with mistreatment by South Africans. And he was obviously not South African. He had a look. He had the Congolese look. That's what's good. This guy coped by shunning us first before we could shun him. But the only way that you were able to be friends with him as a South African was to display that you were not like, I guess, the rest. And so once I worked with him, he opened up and let go of that vibe. Then it was cool. He let go of the vibe, then it was cool. That, for me, is problematic, you guys. That is the problem. That's the issue. The fact that foreign Africans in this country feel as if though they have to treat us like we're the scum of the earth in order to survive our treatment of them being the scum of the earth tells me that South Africa thinks it defecates ice cream. It thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. It thinks it's arrived. It thinks that it is better than the rest of Africa. And, okay, you know what, we're gonna have a conversation. When I was living in one of the complexes that I've lived in out here in these streets, there were these two. They look like they could have obviously been models, right? And they were made to likely share the apartment by their agency, right? I don't know from where they were, but they were definitely not from around these streets. I could tell with their language. And when I walked into the clubhouse and saw these two ladies, I immediately wanted to greet them. They were so glorious. Tapa, you know when you like chicks so much that you just like, oh, but foster friendship. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to greet these chicks. And as soon as I walked in, they just looked away, almost like rolling their eyes. Like, that kind of... And I was like, what in the world did I do? I just walked in, I wanted to greet, and they just were like, basically on some, one of those, oh, they're here, one of these, like, they treat us like we're nothing. They think we're ugly. They think we're hebato. Now for me, that was, when that happened, co-complexing, where I was staying, that, by that stage, I was already starting to get kind of upset with South Africa. I was already suffering. I was going through a lot. I was living by myself, struggling to get a job again. And I was like, South Africa is the reason why when I walked into the clubhouse and saw those chicks playing pool, and I tried to greet them, they basically practically almost went all the way to the point of rolling their eyes when I walked in. Because they could see I was a South African woman, and they imagined I'm one of those that thinks they ain't jack, so please don't even look at her. Don't even look at her. They don't treat each other like that. But they treat us, South African chicks, like that. Why under heaven would they treat us that way? It's because, like I said, we think we're the baddest in the game. When I was on the come up, the conversations that we would have among friends and co were always very vitriolic against foreigners, especially Nigerians in this country. My cousin and I grew up calling Nigerians bo antagonize. We call them bo antagonize because of their accent. Yeah, there was some guy back in the day that was having an argument with somebody, and then he was like, don't antagonize me, and the way he said it was like, don't antagonize me. And my cousin made it a whole joke. The accent that came out, she made it a whole joke, and so we, from that date forward, started to call Nigerians bo antagonize. And whenever you said ke antagonize, whenever we said ke antagonize, we always knew that they were speaking about either a Nigerian or a non-South African black man that is from Africa. Hey, Karabo, there's this guy that likes you, or he, you know, that guy is whatever, is staring at you. Hi, Mara, Oscar Mufa, attention, ke antagonize. And as soon as they would say ke antagonize, it was almost as if though it was expected of us to not even give them a chance, to not even listen to them when they speak. So, I mean, when somebody rocks up with an African accent and you automatically have communicated to your club of girlfriends that don't even listen to him because he has that accent, you are causing a rift between you and the rest of Africa as an African. That's the first thing. And then there was the belief by South African women that they're better, or were better, seeing as I was among them, in beauty than the rest of Africa. Like, we imagined that we were prettier than Zimbabweans, prettier than Nigerians, prettier than, you get my point. We imagined ourselves a lot more beautiful. Until there was a lot more social media rolling around in these streets. Until there was a lot more Big Brother rolling around in these streets. And we came to discover, frankly, the whole belief of being more beautiful than other women in Africa. Now for me, it was neutralized when I got to university. Because of the Ethiopians and the Somalis. They were so beautiful that literally we were being made to step aside in favor of them, in the sight of men. And you therefore get humbled when you recognize, Uguti, where did I get this mindset from that I'm the more beautiful one? Where did I get this mindset from that I'm the smarter one when the Zims were killing us in practically every subject at school? Where under heaven did I get this mindset that we're the ones that are more beautiful when the Ethiopians are slapping us silly? Where under, you get my point, right? That became a thing. Big Brother made us realize that there are beautiful women in Africa. Other countries in this, like, Big Brother contestants, Abanye, were really, really gorgeous, okay? Like, really, really gorgeous. And so there was respect, basically, that grew in my heart for all these things. However, I was trained inside my own heart to disregard, dislike, mistreat, and imagine that there's not much really to certain people. And then I expected now when I wanted to make friends with them because I thought they were cool, I expected them to be nice to me. I expected them to be good with me. Yeah. And when they weren't, I thought that they were the ones that were arrogant, until I came to learn that no, Obabita antagonize first and foremost. Secondly, you and your crew of friends think you're prettier than those Zimbabwean girls. Thirdly, you think you're smarter when they slay you in school. Good clear. Fourthly, whenever you hear them speak in their accent, you think you're more eloquent than them purely because you speak with a South African accent or on a Litwang. When, if at all they wrote what they are saying on an essay, they pass better than you in school, evidencing that they're more eloquent just with an accent. Yeah, type establishment thing. You get my point. And these things sort of kind of chilled in my mind, and I realized very early that, okay, South Africa has literally gotten a queenly arrogance against the rest of Africa. But I was still enjoying South Africa and the benefits of that prejudice because I was here. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then I got thrown into obscurity. And then I saw just what South Africans do when they think or feel that somebody is substandard to them. I realized that, you know, the new antagonized was poverty. The new antagonized was a loss of respect in society, a loss of a job. The new antagonized was you all of a sudden not being as popular anymore for whatever reason. The new antagonized is going through hardship at all. You then become treated just like antagonized. You get mistreated just like the Nigerians. You get mistreated just like the Zimbabweans. You get mistreated just like the Ethiopians when you have lost a job. So now I came to learn that no, the problem here is not even so much just xenophobia. It's a classism problem. It's a segregationist problem. It's a self-adoration, a pomp, a self-elevation. There is something about South Africans that makes them feeling that they've arrived and they are better than everybody. In Africa, in particular. South Africans and South Africa thinks it's the best country in Africa and that no one slays us. No one is better. Nothing slaps us. There's a Nigerian guy that I became friends with, wreaked havoc in my life. Oh goodness, these Korobela randos, as in Africa all over is full of witchcraft. But let's just try and separate this buffoon's witchcraft from the important case in point. When I first met this guy, I met him right now in this sorrow of mine, in these years that I've been suffering. And initially we were good peoples. He was from Nigeria. And just like all Nigerians, initially lots of attitude. Until I guess we sat and talked, and then he realized I was good peoples just like with the guy from Congo. And once we were good peoples, he then spilled out his heart, his beans, about what he felt about South Africa and South Africans. And I was like, by then I already had reached my own conclusions about them too, right? And I agreed with him. And he was like, yeah, but most of you guys are not like that. That's why we stick to each other. That's why we hang out with each other. Y'all treat us like we defecate steel and metal, like we smell like feces. You treat us like rubbish. No respect. Even when we have money and beautiful homes and cars, and it's like it doesn't matter, just insofar as we are what we are. You treat us like rubbish. And so black South Africans wonder why racism in this country is not dying. You reap what you sow. You endure mistreatment at the hands of racist people precisely because you have not repented from xenophobia. It's the same thing, just in a different ecosystem or in a different landscape. Xenophobia, they're all forms of discrimination. And the way that you feel being mistreated by white folk in this country is the same way that you treat Zimbabweans. It's the same way you get my point. And on top of that, the way that you treat the poor. Oh my goodness, the poor. Like for me, the thing that made me a Nigerian, or the thing that made me a Congolese or a Sudanese, was my poverty. That is what put me in the same position as them. And so now I expect nothing but rubbish treatment from South Africans and the way that South African black women are. These women are mean. Guys, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this. South African black women are mean. They are full of attitude. They don't greet. They are very competitive. They're always spawning. Their competitiveness makes it impossible for them to truly love each other. And even when you get to know them and are friends with them, they still give you attitude. It's like you never stop auditioning to be their friend. You never stop. And the betrayal is astronomical. It's out of this world. They stab each other in the back very easily. And tomorrow they will stand with this girl in order to get at that girl. And then the next day, this girl will stand with this girl to stand against that girl. And so they keep betraying each other like it's a cesspool of betrayal inside one circle, coupled with the fact that they're mean. So how they even make friends with each other is really very confusing to me, because you gotta be open to be kind with somebody to make friends in the first place. So I've always had a really hard time with women at all. The reason why I was drawn and attracted to the prospect of being friends with foreign women was because I was just failing so abysmally with South African women. I was having a hard time with South African women, and so I imagined maybe if I went and grabbed myself a Congolese friend, maybe that'll be a friendship that lasts. But they were giving me attitude. They were posing me shade because they were expecting me to be a typical South African woman. So I was just left in this icy cold environment. And then the worst thing in my life happened, and I experienced South African indiscretion firsthand. I then experienced South African indiscretion firsthand because now I became one of the category of people that they treat like they ain't jack. Let's move to the next part.